everybody. Good morning. Psalm 23 is one of the great psalms of the Bible, written by David. Not sure when he wrote it, whether it was written after he'd become king or in that long period when he was a military commander and a musician and minding his own business, basically. But if ever there was somebody who had the right to speak about God in the way that he did, as the Lord is my shepherd, it was David, because he had been a shepherd as a youngster, a brave youngster he was, a lovely youngster, full of courage, full of faith. And you remember when Goliath appeared on the scene and the armies of Israel were petrified out of their minds, David stepped forward and said, "I'll take him out." And they said, You take that guy out. He says, "Of course I can." "You're going to remember," says David to King Saul, "when I was very young, I was a shepherd. And as a shepherd, even though you're young, you've got to be brave." And he proceeds to tell King Saul, and you'll find this in 1 Samuel chapter 17, about some of his brave exploits when he was looking after his father's flocks, and a lion or a bear would attack and grab a lamb. And what did David do? Did he flee out of terror? No. He said, "I grabbed it. I grabbed this thing. I had a sling, and I could take this beast down, and eventually I would get my lamb back." Now that shows incredible courage. And he was a brave boy. And you know what happens to Goliath when David took him on using just a sling and 5 stones. But David drew from his life experience, and he encouraged himself and he encouraged others. Now let's pause there and kind of take this in a slightly different direction. You've all had life experiences. You've come through difficult experiences. You've come through wonderful experiences. Now don't waste your story by keeping it to yourself. Encourage others. Encourage yourself. Remind yourself of places that you've been to within yourself and how God brought you out of the pit, how God intervened, and how God has brought you to where you are today. That was David. Goliath. Unlikely that this little oak was going to beat Goliath, but David drew on something that had happened in his life where he knew God had helped him. He knew he had trusted God. He could only trust God and his skill that he had honed to perfection. So share your story. Share your story. Encourage somebody by telling them of how God has been at work, how God has been present in your life. Do that. It pleases God and will encourage others. God bless you.